Instigators, WGR 550, Craig Revay, Andrew Peters. Boy band day, open with the Backstreet Boys, got a little Jonas Brothers going there. Riv asked Elliot a great question about boy bands. What's his favorite of the five? We welcome a guy could totally be in a boy band. He's got the boy band looks all going for him. Jeff Skinner. Good morning, Jeff Skinner.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing all right. You know it, eh? You know you got the boy band look.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
do you know anything about boy bands? Like Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block?
I know that probably the average amount. I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but
okay. No, me neither. Someone said Jonas Brothers. I can't name one song. Craig called them the Jonas Brothers, as if they were not knowing they're not from Sweden, and
they were from. I thought they were from Sweden.
It's like jogging. Are you jogging or are you jogging? Are they the Jonas Brothers or the Jonas Brothers? Jeff Skinner joining us here on the Instigators. Give him the five, Riv. Give him the five bands.
Okay, so let's just get after it here. He might not even have been born when these bands were at their pinnacle, but we've got the Jonas Brothers, the Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, and we've also got Boys to Men. Who's your choice? What's your band?
That's a tough one.
Do you want to know what I said?
Please tell me.
Well, I'm asking him. Is he even there? Maybe he doesn't want to know.
I want to know.
I said New Kids on the Block all the way. I was ashamed to admit it when I was a kid. I love New Kids. Bunch of studs singing great tunes.
They had like a mini. I can remember their sort of mini comeback, but I think they might have been.
Their mini comeback. Like well said.
NSYNC Backstreet Boys rivalry was kind of a big deal when I was probably. I don't remember, 7 to 12, and then Jonas Brothers kind of got popular when I was probably a teenager or late teenager. So I don't know. I think Jonas Brothers' most current one. Boys to Men's pretty good though. They've got some classics. I'll go Boys to Men.
Boys to Men. Their song was, what was their song, Jeff? They had, I can sing it right now, Boys to Men. Boys to Men, ABC, BBD. Right?
I don't know that one.
Motown Philly.
Some of those slow jams that are...
Motown Philly back again. Doing a little East Coast. Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Skinner joining us on the line. I bet he didn't think he was calling in to talk about this. Let's talk about the season. The season's over. Probably in the most amazing way possible that nobody would ever predict. What are you going to do with all this time? Because it's possible you guys may not be back to playing until December.
I don't know. Obviously, it's kind of weird and different. You're not used to that kind of long of a break, but also the uncertainty that sort of comes with it. But I think it maybe gives you some opportunity to get some extra training in, and obviously sort of rinks aren't open where I am now, so we can't really skate, but you can train and try and work on your game sort of outside the rink, and then when rinks hopefully open up, have some time to work on some things on the ice.
All right. Sorry, Riv, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I wanted to ask a question that tied to that, and then.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Jeff, were you ever 100% after you came back? Now that the season's over and there are no more games, and you have this layoff to rehab your body, I think there are a lot of players that could benefit. But you got hurt early in the season. And did you ever have a chance to fully heal and come back and be 100%?
I mean, I feel like I was fully healed as I was going to get. I think anyone going through the course of the season, there's going to be things that are nagging you, and that's just part of playing an 82-game season. You sort of break down a little bit, and sometimes it's unlucky and you get a bad break, but other times it's just sort of the wear and tear of the season. So I think that everyone kind of goes through that wear and tear to a degree, and I think, like you said, it is an opportunity, especially if you had anything nagging you or any injuries, to rehab them fully, and then on top of that, have some time to work on your game. I think sometimes with summers, I think, especially if you come out of a season and you're injured, I think you can spend majority of the summer sort of rehabbing that injury, and then you kind of have to get right back into getting ready to play. I think this allows for a little bit more time in between those two phases.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I see it as a total positive for some guys, and look forward. Like even a guy like Wayne Simmons, who came on a couple of weeks ago, talked about how this time off can really help his body that's been banged up, and he can get back to full strength. Riv, you have the mic, my friend.
Well, yeah, you can just kind of reset the whole body, and obviously gear yourself towards training and making yourself better. I wanted just to ask you, like, what your thoughts were. What are you going to take away from what you learned in this season? Now, we all know that this is was not one of your best seasons. Certainly, the puck, didn't go in the net as much as you would have liked. It certainly was not from lack of work and preparation. But it's like, when you have that type of season, which we all have had, like an off season, what are things that you're taking away from that you can, make yourself better?
I think there's quite a bit. Obviously, I think there's little things, I think, from game to game that maybe you work on in practice, and then you sort of take note and realize maybe you want to pick up a different or sort of improve a certain skill that will help you in a game, I think. And you can do that in the off season a little bit more because you've got some more time to focus on it. And then I think the second thing I think you do is when you have a bit of a tough season, I think I've had tough seasons before in my career. I've had good seasons. And I think after any season, you get a chance to kind of gain some perspective after some time. And mentally, I think you can sort of evaluate things a lot clearer. I think it's almost like you're in the middle of a storm in the season, and then once the off season starts and you get a little bit of perspective, you can kind of observe it from a better angle, I think. And I think that's more of sort of a whole picture kind of mindset and mentality. I think, and a lot of times that can come in handy. I think, especially after a tough season, it allows you to sort of reset and focus on those little skills you want to work on in the off season, and then come at it next season refreshed and ready to go.
Awesome. Absolutely. Amen to that for sure. The other thing I was going to ask you is, and I've never, we've talked a couple times, but I've never been able to ask you this. And I know as a player, there was a point in time in my career when I ended up signing a contract that, it was a big contract for me personally. And I ended up putting a lot of pressure on myself, especially when I started my season. And I can still remember that I tried to work so hard and do almost too much, and it almost backfired. And I remember there was an older player on the team that came up to me, and it was like midway through the season. He just said, "Listen, Rivs," he goes, "you can tell that you have pressure on yourself, that you're putting pressure on yourself. Just stop, play the game. We just want Craig Rive." And I was thinking about, you and how hard you worked on the ice each and every night, maybe not having the success that you wanted. Were you putting pressure on yourself with the contract that you signed this last year?
I mean, yeah, no, I think for me, for any player, I think they put pressure on themselves to compete and to perform and to be sort of the best they can be. I think that's sort of a universal kind of feeling, I think, for everyone. Obviously, there are outside factors that come into it, and sort of situations where what your role on the team is, and where you are in your career, sort of like the situation that you're mentioning and that I'm in now. I think that those all come into play, but at the same time, I think that the driving force of any athlete is to just keep getting better and do the best that they can. So, I mean, it's tough. I think it's tough to really. I think maybe I'll have a clearer picture in. I don't know if in the future maybe when you can kind of look back on it, but it's tough in this moment. I think to kind of think that it's a pressure that's sort of not good, because I think sometimes pressure can be good. It can drive you and
yeah.
So I think it sort of works both ways, but I think as an athlete overall, you want to have that pressure, because that means people are counting on you and people believe in you. So it's sort of something that's maybe a challenge to work through sometimes, but it's a challenge you want, I think.
Awesome.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for your time, and appreciate you your honesty and buying into the boy band conversation. Good stuff. Good. Have a good break. Hopefully we can chat with you at some point down the road here. Check in, see how you're doing. But next stop, playoffs, man. Talk to you later.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right.